All right, let's take a look at the top five highest graded offensive players for WVU in the season finale against Oklahoma State. Starting here at number 5 on offense, Mountaineer quarterback. We got two of them in the top 5 this week, actually, both youngsters. Sophomore Garrett Green. We've seen him on here in a few weeks throughout the season, some in which he didn't even, start or play that much. And then, of course, we knew he started playing more here in these past few games. Started the previous game, started this one. They got Nico Marchiol some snaps starting with the third drive of the game. Garrett Green, of course, unfortunately was knocked out early in the second half on West Virginia's first series of the game. But before that, was able to do enough to earn a 67.6 grade on PFF to come out as the fifth highest graded Mountaineer on offense. And I think he showcased a lot of potential for the future here in the late going of the season for West Virginia. And another player that really, I think, showcased some potential in the late going for West Virginia here in the latter portion of the season was Jalen Anderson, a redshirt freshman running back. We knew coming in last year that he was, one of the higher rated recruits in West Virginia's class, but he came in late. I don't think he got to campus till almost October, if I'm not mistaken, last season. So, of course, he ended up redshirt and fell behind a little bit. We didn't hear a lot about him in spring ball. Wasn't really talked about. Dropped all the way to 4th on the depth chart. So much so, when they moved CJ, that's one of the reasons they moved CJ Donaldson over from tight end was for him to kind of play that third running back role, because I guess they felt like Anderson wasn't ready yet, or he wasn't, meeting something they wanted him to do. Whatever, he dropped to the 4th, string for West Virginia, wasn't talked about. Finally, later portion of the season, injuries pile up. And what happens? He has to get on the field, and we see he's absolutely very talented. We saw flashes of it the previous game before this one. Averaged 10 yards a carry in that game. And then in this game, absolutely goes off for the Mountaineers. Over 10 yards a carry again, 15 carries, 155 yards, 250-plus yard touchdown runs, and was an absolute beast for the Mountaineers in the second half of that football game. And a big reason the Mountaineers were able to secure their 5th win of the season, and a guy that has a lot of potential for the future. And the Mountaineers, how about that backfield with 2 freshmen that, if they both return, could be monsters in the future. Jalen Anderson and CJ Donaldson in a run-heavy offense with either Garrett Green or Nico Marchiol at quarterback, I think would be awesome for the future. And speaking of Nico Marchiol at quarterback, he took over in the second half for the Mountaineers after the Garrett Green injury. Bit of a mixed bag. Mountaineers didn't do a lot passing in the game, but a couple of his throws were on point. Thinking of one that he fit into Sam James on a slant pass, and then another to Bryce Ford Wheaton that was very good as well. So he did do some things, and we also saw that he's a player that can make plays with his legs and help in the West Virginia run game, and he did enough to come out as the 3rd highest graded Mountaineer on offense with a 69.7 grade. So that's awesome. True freshman and really his first extended action, save for the Towson game. So here against the Power 5 FBS opponent, one that's West Virginia struggled with, he takes over in the second half and is able to lead the Mountaineers to a victory. I thought he looked calm, cool, and collected. The moment wasn't too big for him. He didn't seem nervous out there. And I think we're going to have a nice quarterback battle heading into the 2023 season for the Mountaineers. And Nico Marchiol has a great chance to wind up as the Mountaineers starting quarterback next season. And then 2 familiar faces here rounding out the top 5 highest graded players in the final game of the season for the Mountaineers. And how about the offensive line? I think it's fitting that both of them are offensive linemen throughout the season. If you've been following the player grade series here, offensive line has had a heavy presence every week, 2 to 3 players at times even in the top 5 for the Mountaineers. And we get 2 here in the top 5. And both of them will be back next season. There's some other players West Virginia's going to have to convince to try and come back, like Doug Nestor, and hopefully they can. But Wyatt Milam and Zach Frazier will both return. And that's our top 2 here. Left tackle Wyatt Milam, 74.8 offensive grade. West Virginia native, flipped over to left tackle this season, done an excellent job. A lot of potential for the future. And, of course, the top graded Mountaineer on offense, I think probably the top player on offense for the Mountaineers all season. I think it's very fitting that in the final game of the Mountaineers season, their top defensive player was probably their top player on defense in Dante Stills, and their top graded player on offense was their top player on offense probably in Zach Frazier here at center, coming out with that high, awesome grade of an 84.1 to close out the season for the Mountaineers. So there is the top 5 highest graded Mountaineers on offense in the season finale win against Oklahoma State. That being said, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz. And until next time, let's go Mountaineers.